ये देश के हर उस नागरिक की आवाज है जो देश के लिए जीना चाहता है, कुछ कर गुजरना चाहता है। भारत माता की जय मैदान में भी गूंजती है और मिशन में भी। जब भारत के सैनिक मां भारती की जय बोलते हैं तो दुश्मन के कलेजे कांप जाते हैं। जब हमारे ड्रोन दुश्मन के किले की दीवारों को ढहा देते हैं, जब हमारी मिसाइलें सनसनाती हुई निशाने पर पहुंचती हैं, तो दुश्मन को सुनाई देता है भारत माता की जय। जब रात के अंधेरे में भी जब हम सूरज उगा देते हैं तो दुश्मन को दिखाई देता है भारत माता की जय। जब हमारी फौजें न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की धमकी की हवा निकाल देती हैं तो आकाश से पाताल तक एक ही बात गूंजती है, भारत माता की जय।
Well, that was in fact the Prime Minister saying how we called off the bluff of nuclear blackmail. Major General Ashwini Sewaj, the bigger question here is that, when Pakistan tested those weapons way back in 1995-96, the question was saying that it was for the protection of their country against India. But it has been the cover that they have been using to keep their terrorist infrastructure protected. We have punched that bluff now more than once, haven't we?
Very correct. See, they have been always doing a nuclear blackmail, and on that, under that cover, they have been also using a cross-border terrorism, and they keep on claiming that they are a nuclear country. In case India responds, they will not mind even using a nuclear weapon. No, but this bluff has been totally busted now and been exposed. See, nuclear weapons are not weapon of war; they are weapon of deterrence, and Pakistan knows it. Though India has this policy of no first use, but we have a very credible second strike capability. We are the one country which is a nuclear triad out of the whole country. That means we can fire a nuclear weapon from sky, from ground, from water and under the water. And therefore, the point is that in case Pakistan by mistake also use even tactical nuclear weapons, the response will be so strong that Pakistan, will cease to exist in next 24 hours. That Pakistan knows it. And under the bluff of this nuclear blackmail, this cross-border terrorism will not be tolerated. And we have shown it. Not only now, we have shown in Pulwama, when we went to Balakot, 90 kilometers deep inside in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and blasted off the Jaise Mohammed camp. And now, by doing what we did, that we have hit 9 terror infrastructure, including the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaise Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen at Muridke, Bawalpur and Sialkot. At the same time, that first time after 1971, that we managed to get inside Pakistan and destroyed their frontline airfields, 11 of them to some extent. They will take time, almost about a month or two, to operationalize again. So we have totally exposed Pakistan bluff as far as nuclear weapons are concerned. We have made it clear that any act of terror which is of a large volume will be considered as an act of war, and we are going to respond. And we are going to respond in a very strong manner. And terrorists cannot hide anywhere. Let them hide anywhere in Pakistan, we'll hunt them down. Third thing what we expose this time is that Pakistan government, Pakistan army and Pakistan terrorists are one and the same. Because it has been seen the way the terrorists, last night were performed by the Corps Commander and GOC as well as the Chief Minister of a province. So it is very clear now that Pakistan is a hub center of terrorism and it is a nursery of terrorism, and its nuclear bogey has been completely exposed by India.
Well, let's in fact listen to what Rajnath Singh said once again.
साथियों, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की कामयाबी ने पाकिस्तान में छिपे आतंकी संगठनों और उनके आकाओं को भी यह साफ बता दिया है कि वे कहीं भी अपने आप को महफूज और सुरक्षित न समझें। अब वे हमारे बहादुर भारतीय सेनाओं के निशाने पर हैं। दुनिया जानती है हमारी सेनाओं का निशाना अचूक है और वो जब वो निशाना लगाते हैं तो गिनती करने का काम वह दुश्मनों पर छोड़ देते हैं। साथियों, आज आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की प्रतिज्ञा कितनी कठोर है इसका पता इसी बात से चलता है कि हमने उनके न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की भी परवाह नहीं की है। पूरी दुनिया ने देखा है कि कैसे गैर जिम्मेदाराना तरीके से पाकिस्तान द्वारा भारत को अनेक बार एटमी धमकियां दी गई हैं। आज श्रीनगर की धरती से मैं पूरी दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल उठाना चाहता हूं कि क्या ऐसे गैर जिम्मेदार और रोग नेशन के हाथों में परमाणु हथियार सुरक्षित हैं? मैं दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल खड़ा करना चाहता हूं। मैं मानता हूं कि पाकिस्तान के एटमी हथियारों को IAEA इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसी की निगरानी में लिया जाना चाहिए। मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा और साफ तौर पर कहना चाहूंगा। साथियों, हमारी सेनाओं हमारी सीमाओं पर अपनी मातृभूमि की रक्षा के लिए जिस तरह से आप
Well, that was in fact Rajnath Singh speaking about this issue about the nuclear safety or the nuclear weapon safety within Pakistan. Well, we have Major General Ashwini Swaraj with us. Major General, there was a report way back in 2016 which was flagged by the US itself that said that there's high risk of theft of Pak nuclear weapons. Now, this theft could happen from within, it could be extraneous as well, and it was a US think tank report that had warned ahead of the nuclear security summit that was held in 2016 that said that when it comes to Pakistan, the threat of its nuclear weapons falling into the wrong hands either by theft or by proliferation is quite high. So the US themselves know that it is a situation that they would have to face in the future. But do you think that it is high time that the international community comes together and asks this question about Pakistan's nuclear safety and initiate process for denuclearization of Pakistan? Of course, Pakistan is not going to agree to it, but should denuclearization of Pakistan be the long-term goal for world peace?
Absolutely. The long-term goal should be that you totally denuclearize Pakistan, because Pakistan is not a stable country. The nuclear weapons can fall into wrong hands. And also what you said is that they can be stolen, they can be smuggled, anything and everything is possible as far as Pakistan is concerned. Considering this, I am sure that US must take control of this. US has been always monitoring Pakistan nuclear weapons. But I don't think US has carried out a realistic appreciation that the threat is very live and real, what India is saying. And International Atomic Energy Association must also take control of this, that nuclear weapons in Pakistan are not safe. Nuclear weapons can be either sold or the technology can be sold. They can also fall into the wrong hands, and hence the IEA must take over these nuclear weapons. I think there should be some check and balancing by IEA. What happened in Kirana Hills, it's a case in point as to how, the radiations are being leaked. So anything and everything is possible in Pakistan, and especially because the government in Pakistan has been very, very unstable. Political crisis, economic instability, as well as terrorism increasing. The way terrorism is increasing manifold, both in Balochistan and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, that itself is a threat. There are certain nuclear sites which are in Balochistan and in even Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So all said and done, I think that's a very, very realistic assessment done by India, that the nuclear weapons in Pakistan are not safe. They need to be taken over by IEA, and US must work out more on this. Let's not be overconfident about the protocol and SOPs of Pakistan that weapons are safe. By their saying it is safe, it does not mean it is safe, but ground situation now conveys they are not safe and they must be taken over at the earliest, and long-term goal should be totally denuclearize Pakistan in time to come.
Well, Major General, one of the last questions I would in fact ask before we end the show is this, that when it comes to the umbrella of security that Pakistan gets from China, shouldn't China itself be worrisome? Because it has a problem in Xinjiang. We know it's a highly ethnic, religious problem it has in Xinjiang province, especially with the Islamic Uyghurs, who, by the way, are also getting sympathies from the Pakistani establishment in certain quarters at the same time with the certain terrorist organizations that are there, but they're not openly out there. So this is also something that giving that security, China giving security for Pakistan extremist thoughts and terrorist thoughts, as with the ability to ensure that it has its nuclear weapons, is something that could also be counterproductive if something goes wrong in Xinjiang when it comes to China.
Absolutely. See, as far as China is concerned, it has got a problem in Xinjiang province, and where there are Uyghur Muslims, there are number of terrorist organizations which are basically taking place there. But very strangely, Pakistan had never commented even on the issue that there are some human rights violation on the Muslim community of Uyghur there in Xinjiang. So they have been, both sides have been quiet, and very rightly what you have brought it out. Now there is, terrorist groups which are operating in Pakistan, which have got a soft corner and sympathy for these Uyghur Muslims and certain, militant Muslim organizations in Xinjiang province, and China knows it. But they have their larger interest involved with both the countries, that they do not openly come out and point out this. But certainly this is a cause of concern. I think China should also take this into consideration, that if the nuclear weapons fall into the wrong hands, especially with the terrorists, they percolating and coming toward China side also is feasible, since it has a big problem in Xinjiang, and where there are militancy going on in terms of Islamic militants of Uyghur. So I suppose that must be taken into consideration by China. But does it take it or not, the time will only tell. But certainly one thing is very clear, that the nuclear weapons of Pakistan are not stable. The International Atomic Energy must take that into consideration and take over these weapons at the earliest before it falls into wrong hands.
Absolutely. Major General, you are speaking to Sakshi Singh Litoria now. Sir, just a quick question. I believe we have given out a very stern message internationally this time around, that India is very strict with the side that we have chosen for ourselves, and we are going to be looking at some new trends emerging as far as the warfare is concerned. With this announcement coming in from the Defence Minister, what do you think? What kind of a messaging will be given out to the world?
You see, we have given a very crystal clear message to the world that the weapons of which are there with Pakistan are not in safe hands. They must be taken by International Atomic Energy Association, because the way situation is unfolded in this 4 days conflict between India and Pakistan, it has been shown that they are the way in Kirana Hill, there seemingly looks to be some leakage of nuclear radiation. Itself shows that there are something wrong in Pakistan, and you must take control. So in time to come, one can say with certainty that Pakistan weapons are not in safe hands. They must be taken over by IEA.
Right. Major General, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation here at News 9. Right now we are in fact going to brief our viewers again about what exactly is happening. It's extremely crucial development coming in, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very important visit. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Thursday has gone on to Badami Bagh cantonment in Kashmir, and in fact also went on to interact with the armed forces over there, also congratulated them on the success of Operation Sindoor. In fact, in a straight talk, without mincing his words, without hesitating, the Defence Minister said that Pakistan is is a rogue nation and cannot take care of nuclear weapons. He in fact urged the International Atomic Energy Agency or the IAEA to take charge of Pakistan's nuclear weapons days after the nuclear-armed neighbors ended their worst military conflict in nearly 3 decades. Rajnath Singh said that the world knows that Indian Army's aim is accurate, and when they hit the target, they leave the counting to the enemies.
आज आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की प्रतिज्ञा कितनी कठोर है, इसका पता इसी बात से चलता है कि हमने उनके न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की भी परवाह नहीं की है। पूरी दुनिया ने देखा है कि कैसे गैर जिम्मेदाराना तरीके से पाकिस्तान द्वारा भारत को अनेक बार एटमी धमकियां दी गई हैं। आज श्रीनगर की धरती से मैं पूरी दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल उठाना चाहता हूं कि क्या ऐसे गैर जिम्मेदार और रोग नेशन के हाथों में परमाणु हथियार सुरक्षित हैं? मैं दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल खड़ा करना चाहता हूं। मैं मानता हूं कि पाकिस्तान के एटमी हथियारों को IAEA इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसी की निगरानी में लिया जाना चाहिए। मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा और साफ तौर पर कहना चाहूंगा, साथियों, हमारी सेनाओं हमारी सीमाओं पर अपनी मातृभूमि की रक्षा के लिए जिस तरह से आप सभी बिना रुके बिना थके दिन रात लगे रहते हैं, वह अपने आप में अद्भुत है और अद्वितीय भी है।
A very big development coming in, a very big announcement done by our Defence Minister. Let's take the chat forward. Let's try to understand it with experts. Former Commandant Mountain Strike Corps, retired Lieutenant General Rajiv Chopra is joining us here on the chat on News9. So thank you so much for speaking to us. What do you make of this big announcement coming in from Defence Minister? He has very categorically mentioned in a very stern message given to the world that, Pakistan cannot take care of their nuclear weapons. Somebody has to take responsibility of it.
Jay, Shakshi and viewers, thank you for invite to the show. See what is happening, the roots of terror or the fountainhead of terror or nursery of terror is Pakistan. It is not only affecting India, but the entire global community. Like you have seen, Osama bin Laden, was a wanted terrorist and America was hunting for him, and where he was found? In Pakistan and very close to a military cantonment. And Pakistan kept denying that we are not harboring him. Then all the traces of the major, the terrorist acts, even in London, the tube blast or the metro blast, were traced back to Pakistan. Therefore, like brought out by Honorable Prime Minister, that this is not an era of war. And this is neither the era of terrorism. The world has to have a collective voice to downgrade terrorism, and it shouldn't be used as an instrument of state power which the Pakistanis are using. And slowly what you're seeing, the terrorists are ruling the roost, and Pakistan is a very unstable nation, not only rogue but also unstable. You're well aware what is happening in their heartland of Punjab. People are protesting and there's a terrorism which is coming, and all around in Pakistan, because of economic turmoil, economic weakness, people are not satisfied, and they may not be far where even the terrorist takes over that the nuclear weapons. Therefore, and has been blackmailing not India, the entire world, that use of nuclear weapons in this era of where economic growth and development is being called. World is already suffering a number of international geopolitics turmoil by warfare. Therefore, the time is very right that we must ask the world community to disarm nuclear weapons from Pakistan, or at least take control over them. That is the only solution, a long-term solution to bring Pakistan to its knees, and all the aid, whether it be the IMF, the World Bank, or from any OIC, Turkey, should be based for its uses. It must be audited. Firstly, it should not be given, and if it is given, it should be audited, and there must be some terms and conditions, because they are being diverted towards the cause of terrorism.
Right, right. Lieutenant General, I request you to please stay on with us on the broadcast. Let me also introduce my second guest joining us on the broadcast, Defence and Strategy expert, retired Air Marshal VPS Rana sir. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. You know, at times when we are looking at different countries trying to stake claim of having this understanding between India and Pakistan, Defence Minister categorically has given them the opportunity to finally take care of something that would work out in India's interest, take care of the nuclear weapons of the Pakistan. They cannot handle it themselves.
Absolutely. I think this is again political signaling at its best. He meant he said it very categorically that the credibility of Pakistan as a nuclear state is suspect. They are not able to take care of their nuclear capabilities, and hence it must be given to IAEA to take care of this. I think now the time has come for India to internationalize all these irresponsible behavior of Pakistan, and like General Chopra also said, Pakistan has been it all, but I don't think now they can get away with this. The entire world should know. In any case, the entire world knows, but it is with us that we now expose every bit of their irresponsible behavior, their terror routes. It was there for the entire world to see. We are exposing that in United Nations Security Council as well. But I think in the word, it must be the signal must be sent very categorically and clearly that Pakistan is a irresponsible state and has been supporting terror all along, giving the nuclear bogey all this while. And I think this is the high time for the world to take note of it, and for the world organizations who are to take care of these nuclear thing must come forward and take care of all those facilities.
Right. Lieutenant General Chopra, let me come back to you with the question of, Prime Minister Modi a couple of days ago have given out a very stern and a very strong message to the world that, we are not going to be scared of any kind of atomic or nuclear threats coming our way. Today also we heard Defence Minister, echoing the same rhetoric that you cannot threaten us. India is well prepared. We have everything to defend ourselves and also to attack at the right time if, we deem fight.
Yeah, you are well aware. We are sending very correct and strong political signaling that we have a strategic autonomy where whatever we want to do, time, place and method, and even on a terms of condition. But let me tell you, the Pakistan is a nuclear bluff. No, it has been blackmailing the world and also India to use those nuclear weapons because it is unstable from inside. And the world is doing everything to not allow Iran to have these nuclear facilities. Whereas if you compare these two nations, there is a bigger rogue and where it is much more unstable, and there is economic turmoil and there is more terrorism here. There are more terrorists being created. The industry of terrorism is there, and if these weapons fall, or the weapons of mass destruction in the hands of these terrorists, even a portion of it, the world is going to regret. And what I am trying to say, Indian diplomacy is strengthening, and there are certain nations, for their self-interest and for their national interest, they are not allowing this to do. There are two things which Pakistan has in its arm as strategic weapon. One is terrorism and one is nuclear threat. Now, the world must realize this. They are co-joined. Therefore, first thing, we need to strangle them economically while the world community, whether it be IMF, whether it be OIC, whether it, he looks towards China, so that China may not be giving aid because it gives, any aid with strings attached. Turkey is supporting them. The world community needs to take care of them also. They must be brought that they can't be aiding terrorism because it's a rogue nation and it has got weapons of mass destruction, and the time is ripe where the international community must come together in one voice, and it must disarm their nuclear weapons, whatever means they may be, or it may be taken by the control of the International Atomic Energy Agency. And it is, the day is not very far, as you've seen, It is a rogue nation with rogue leadership. The army, it is a sort of a martial law. There is a puppet government. There is no control in the hands of civilians. It is in the control of the army people. And the army is quite radicalized and they are sponsoring terrorists. You have seen the relationship between them and the terrorists, and the terrorist financing is going on heavily, and they need to be put. It may be so that the senior leaders in Pakistan army are in the garb of terrorists. Therefore, as the state sponsors terrorism, we need to take care of both this. One is the terror and one is the nuclear weapons, and it can best be done by choking their financial aid. See, Pakistan is totally on foreign aid. From
Absolutely.
the number of times the bailout has happened, it is the time to choke their finances, and the world, we in the Security Council, the conference is already on to put Pakistan under FATF, and also not to give him loan if it is to be given loan for the welfare of the people. Even today I was hearing some news that they have announced 10 lakh of rupees for each martyr, and they are calling terrorists as martyr. This means there is a very unholy alliance between these two. Therefore, we need to choke these two things to the best, not only India, because it is not very far. Like they say, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? The spring is already seen. The world community may be affected by that. And all the, like I've been saying, all the roots, all the strings are pointing towards Pakistan. If we need to have peaceful world where everybody looks for after the growth and development of their nation, we need to book Pakistan both in terms of terror financing, and secondly is disarm them nuclearly so they don't have hoax, bogey and blackmail the world community.
Right. Lieutenant General, I'll request you to please stay on with us, as well as I'll request Air Marshal to stay on with us as well. Let's listen in to Rajnath Singh again, what exactly he said.
आज आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की प्रतिज्ञा कितनी कठोर है, इसका पता इसी बात से चलता है कि हमने उनके न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की भी परवाह नहीं की है। पूरी दुनिया ने देखा है कि कैसे गैर जिम्मेदाराना तरीके से पाकिस्तान द्वारा भारत को अनेक बार एटमी धमकियां दी गई हैं। आज श्रीनगर की धरती से मैं पूरी दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल उठाना चाहता हूं कि क्या ऐसे गैर जिम्मेदार और रोग नेशन के हाथों में परमाणु हथियार सुरक्षित हैं? मैं दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल खड़ा करना चाहता हूं। मैं मानता हूं कि पाकिस्तान के एटमी हथियारों को IAEA इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसी की निगरानी में लिया जाना चाहिए। मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा और साफ तौर पर कहना चाहूंगा, साथियों, हमारी सेनाओं हमारी सीमाओं पर अपनी मातृभूमि की रक्षा के लिए जिस तरह से आप सभी बिना रुके बिना थके दिन रात लगे रहते हैं, वह अपने आप में अद्भुत है और अद्वितीय भी है।
Hey, Marshal Rana, let me come to you. Rajnath Singh has also said कि उन्होंने हमारा धर्म पूछ के मारा, हमने उनका कर्म देख के उन्हें रिप्लाई दिया है. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely, I think he in his attempt to internationalize the whole issue, so to say, he categorically called out that while their thing was that they wanted to divide us on the religious line, but they failed. In fact, they united us that way. It was a very lowly act on the part of the terrorists who are supported by the Pakistan government, and thereby this act was really condemnable. But when we replied to them, it was based on what they have been doing, what are their deeds. And their deeds have been that they have been all these years they have been supporting terror. Terror is their state instrument. Terrorists are dispensable for them, and terrorism is their state policy. So, because their deeds are such, we had no choice but to strike against them. We did not care about the nuclear threat. We did not care about what's the kind of terror network they have. We had to go hit them everywhere to drive home the point that this will not be tolerated any more. And he was very, very emphatic in his statement, and also telling to the world that here is a rogue state and it's a high time that the world to take note of it, and all international agencies, particularly he was emphasizing on the nuclear irresponsibility of Pakistan, because he's been making those statements every now and then. So here was this statement meant for the world that you need to take care of Pakistan. Pakistan is no more credible nuclear power. And on the other side, I just want to get your attention to the political signal. This is the political signaling at its best from our side. Look at the political signaling that is coming out of Pakistan. I mean, Shehbaz Sharif going to a field in between middle of nowhere and
trying to copy us, trying to copy what Prime Minister did yesterday, Air Marshal, isn't he?
Well, I think they somebody need to tell them that they need a lesson or two in communication strategy as well. Besides of their military power.
Absolutely. They are trying to copy us in any possible way. Remember, the announcement of persona non grata came in yesterday as well. They exactly copy-pasted the same announcement, just replace the word India with Pakistan. Then yesterday we saw Prime Minister going with all smiles to the, military bases, also showing the S-400 completely in the working condition, also boosting the morale of our Jawans. But at the same time, we saw what Shehbaz Sharif did on the other side. It's funny that they had posters at their background, nothing substantial to show to the world of the claims that they have been making of having destroyed multiple of the air bases here in India. But Lieutenant General Chopra, let me come back to you with this new normal that has now been introduced to us as civilians. The government has been reiterating to that. The armed forces have clearly told us during the press briefings that India is looking forward for a new normal. This is how we are going to be living forward from here. Now this announcement coming in our capacity, we are trying to keep our stance extremely clear to the world that this is the new normal for us and we are not here to tolerate and clap our hands.
Yeah, the new normal is very, very clear that we are no more going to have a strategic restraint or a strategic peace. We are posturing and sending a very stern message that one, we are autonomous state, we take our own decisions. Like the Prime Minister said, we will decide our terms, our conditions, and also the method, the time and place of our choosing, how to retaliate to any Pakistani effect. That is point number one. Secondly, he brought out very, very clear the new normal, we will not be scared of his nuclear saber rattling. Neither he has a saber, how is he rattling it? And we know how to deal with it. India is the fourth nation in the world which has got a nuclear triad. What I want to say by nuclear triad, that we have power to launch the nuclear weapon both by land, air and sea. Though we always have a new no first war strategy, but we need to signal to Pakistan that in case it takes a misadventure, it will be very, very costly for him in terms of life and his existence. But he is well aware of it. That is why he keeps raising the nuclear bogey without doing anything. And very, very next thing the Prime Minister said, terror and talks can't go together, and blood and water can't go together. And he says, no, we will not look at this is a bilateral issue. If he goes internationally, we do nothing. And like we know, we also today you have seen even the US has backtracked that they had only, they had nothing to do with the ceasefire. It is just they jumped the gun and to take the credit. Possibly they were not always a mediator there, but it was our decision. We said let Pakistan come to his knees, coming to for a handshake with us. So we did shake the hand. In fact, one of the experts I saw in your channel, it is bad to say as a military commander, but it was in your channel only. He ran away as a scared dog with a tail under his legs. That was in your news channel. So he was so scared because he knew that his air defense has been totally neutralized and his terrorist camps have been done away with and his 11 bases have been rendered baseless. No, and he had taken his aircraft towards the Afghanistan border, and next BrahMos which fired must maybe having a devastating effect. Even like you saying, they are trying to copy our own Honorable Prime Minister and Defense Minister, and the man who calls the shot is General Asim Munir. He is hiding inside the bunker. He is not showing his face to his forward troops or even to his masses. Where is he missing? He made that last dialogue of a two nation theory and Islam. He is rating that Islam bogey, and after that he is missing. He has got his nation into a big trouble, and the masses also understand the time is not very far off that he'll be taken to task. Like again being brought out by a number of speakers that either the Pakistani general is on his chair or he runs for his life to any foreign country. I don't know what is happening inside Pakistan, but we need to study what is happening, and he is just hiding. I don't know. And in the army also, it's a divided lot because there are two divisions. One is pro Imran Khan forces. One is the fundamentalist, both terrorist related, and they are after Asim Munir. Therefore, what I want to say that the day is come to take Pakistan to task by the world community. And let me tell you, in the geopolitics, it takes little time to shape the world environment for a particular cause, and the day is not very far, and the international community is realizing, but there are certain Pakistani friends which you are aware, which have been brought in your channel to take China, Turkey and Azerbaijan, and there are few, I was reading somewhere that the terror financing which is happening from underground sources. People of Pakistan, the Pakistani living abroad by secret means, and also Pakistan is giving the Islamic bogey.
Absolutely.
That it is the jihad is on the way, Islam and the fundamentals for their religion.
Right.
So a lot of people who are after Islam are funding them. We need to choke them out.
Absolutely. Lieutenant General Chopra and Air Marshal Rana, thank you so much. I'm afraid that we have run out of time for this conversation here at News9. Thank you so much for joining with your inputs here for the conversation at News9. But News9 Strategic Affairs Editor Aditya Raj Kaul also spoke to Modern War Institute's John Spencer, who is Chair of Urban Warfare Studies. Let's listen in to that very exclusive conversation that we managed to have with him.
You observed in detail what happened over the last few days, the 4 days so-called confrontation between Indian and the Pakistani military. What was your takeaway from that?
I think I had a lot of thoughts. As you knew, I wrote a few articles about it, but I took it as a decisive victory for India, a very impressive, decisive victory, which is really, as I study war around the world, hard for people to see what victory looks like. Clear goals, even though they didn't start this, they ended it. They were attacked. India was attacked, responded, was attacked again, responded again, keeping all within constrained, basically. And I wrote in my article that basically constraining yourself is not weakness. India demonstrated overwhelming military superiority, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But from a general big picture, overwhelmingly impressed, and both from a strategy and a military capability, but even from the political stance of clear objectives, what was achieved, what wasn't. Because even within India, I've seen people say, like, you should have gone for more, you had them, you should have done a lot more. By every measure, for me as a war analyst that studies wars that are going on right now or have happened in the past, India demonstrated a